What's up, everybody? I'm here with Plato. Welcome to the show. We're going to be talking about the Netflix series Castlevania. There is a new story out there. In fact, there's a few stories out there talking about just how racist and garbagey this new season of Castlevania is. Basically, it has nothing to do with the previous two seasons. Season 1 I watched and really loved. The second season I thought was okay, but I felt that they just departed way too quickly from the source material and started doing their own thing. And there were some woke things in it that I did not enjoy. And now the third season looks to be amping up all of the woke nonsense, revisionist history. They're taking characters that are beloved by fans of the Castlevania video game franchise, and they are race swapping these characters, switching around their entire backstories, including one of the characters we're going to be talking about in this article. And now it looks like the director of the show himself is not even happy with the direction that the show is going in, because the PR team is basically just taking his message and putting it out on social media. I'm not sure why the media is defending him on this. It's very odd. That's all I'm going to say about it. Check this out. Netflix Castlevania director distances self from inflammatory marketing. And the reason that this happened, allegedly, is because the Castlevania team on Netflix, they tweeted out, no matter what the timeline, the Belmonts stay getting humbled by their magic companions. This is the direction that season 3 went in. It took a character that's very beloved. You might not recognize this character, and that's because she's been completely race swapped and even given a slavery background. It says right here, the Belmont boy turned out to be useless as F, and that was the tweet. It looks like they deleted it. Some fans understandably interpreted the tweet as an attack on not only the source material for the show, but also the fans of the franchise. And yes, it is. Usually when they do things like this further down the line in a series, they start to make everything about it woke, and they start changing characters around and storylines around. And that's exactly what they're doing here. And now all of a sudden, the people who are running the show are all surprised and shocked that they're getting so much backlash that now they're like, okay, now I'm going to step back away from the situation instead of addressing it like a grown adult. It says here, in response, Castlevania director Samuel Dietz distanced himself from the inflammatory marketing. Says right here in Samuel Dietz's tweet, man, not to vague tweet, but I work too darn much to have to add, keep an eye on marketing so they don't misrepresent our show to my grossly oversized to-do list. Well, I'm not sure why you would distance yourself from the situation. I mean, this is basically your message being plastered on social media. Maybe you know that, maybe the director knows, and he just doesn't want people to know just how bad his show really is and just how little he cares about the source material of Castlevania. But if I were to make a show, I would stand by it. Honestly, it doesn't even seem like he is distancing himself from it. This tweet tells me that he just doesn't care. That's what it tells me. It doesn't say that he disapproves of it or that he's speaking out against it, because he is most certainly not speaking out against it. Back when this season started rearing its ugly head and people started to realize what was happening in it and to its characters, people called it out, and then the director was like, hey, who cares about the race thing? Why do you guys care so much about race swapping? I mean, it's Castlevania. But apparently he cares about it. He cares so much about what race a character is that he ended up going in there, rewriting the character, and then changing her entire background so that she fell perfectly into a racial segregation subplot for this show. At some point, you have to admit that these people are lying, or that they just don't live in reality, and they think that they're so clever so as to say whatever they want and they can get out of every situation without having to be accountable for any of their choices, regardless of how much they destroy everything that we love. The director was far from the first person to take issue with the tweet's message, and fans quickly began criticizing Netflix while also airing their grievances about the show's latest season. This person said, only watched the first 2 seasons of Castlevania and never bothered after that. Probably for the best. And then this person said, do I even bother giving it a watch? So far, all I've seen is just how they mangled up the whole main character trope that Richter is supposed to have and downplaying everything he does, with Annette and Maria saying something rude and snarky to humble him. Yep. So in the show, the African-American former slave chews out the white male and tells him how to behave. And of course, the male is stupid. By the way, in this show, all they ever do is drop F-bombs. The dialogue in comparison to the previous 2 seasons is absolute trash. One enthusiastic user saw an opportunity to promote alternative vampire media, urging fans to check out Vampire Hunter D instead. Funny enough, I recently watched this movie and I enjoyed it immensely. And I do think it's also kind of hilarious that this movie makes me think back to shows like Castlevania and what kind of show it could end up being if season 3 was done properly. You know, I expected more of what happened in the first season. And when the second and third season just dipped away from that, I knew what was happening. I knew that these idiots had gotten into powerful positions at Netflix and they started rewriting everything. And it's ridiculous. But again, this is what we have to deal with. So it's important that we call it out. Castlevania Nocturne has unfortunately found itself in the middle of the online culture war. No, it hasn't. It was already there. People need to use their brains and wind the clock back and see when this show was made and what the show is about, okay? Just because the director's like, whoa, I can't believe that they said that on Twitter, doesn't mean that he doesn't support the message. I mean, look at the show as a whole. He made that show. He made this season and he made that racial subplot. He made it to where all these main characters that we're supposed to love and relate to drop a bunch of F-bombs, get corrected by their African-American sidekicks, and that's what Netflix thinks that we want in a Castlevania show. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have not had a chance to like and share it with your friends, that would be awesome. And hey, if you're feeling ultra spicy, consider subscribing so that you're up to date with what I've got going on. I look forward to seeing you all again next time. Later. Meow, meow.